So guys, welcome to lecture number 3. So last thing that we were discussing, in the previous lecture was how are we categorizing the countries based on their level of development, right? So the first criteria that we saw was based on the World Bank criteria of gross national income per capita, right? And then we saw that, okay, there are 4 different categorizations. First is low income, and then the other one is, lower middle, right? And then there was upper middle, and then there were high income countries, right? And then we obviously had numerical numbers for each. So we said, anything which is less than $996 will come under a low income category country. Anything which is between $996 to $3895 will be a part of the lower middle income countries. Anything which is between 3896 to 12,000, this much, this will become a part of upper middle income countries, and anything greater than 12,000 uh, 056 or maybe equal, that will become a part of high income countries. So this was my categorization based on gross national income per capita. Yes. So this was one of the criteria that we had. Fine. But that is not the only criteria. This was entirely based on income. But what really happens is income also tends to, kind of ignore other important factors. So in order to take care of that, we have something called, the United Nations criteria. एंड यूनाइटेड नेशंस का जो क्राइटेरिया है कंट्रीज को अलग अलग हिस्सों में डिवाइड करने का, व्हाट इज दैट क्राइटेरिया? सो इट नॉट ओनली कैप्चर्स योर इनकम, what else is it capturing? It is also capturing something which is very important, which is health, and it is also capturing your education attainment. So United Nations Development Program, UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So under this, what happens? They create an index. So they have an index which is called Human Development Index. So this is basically an index. अब ये index के इसको calculate करने के लिए अपने आप में एक तरीका है. This is something which is a part of our course, which we will be doing in our first unit only, just slightly after finishing this. So for this discussion, we won't get too much into the details, but we also have to understand, how this human development index, what does it include, how is it calculated, all of these things. So we do have the methodology of calculating HDI in our course. So we will be getting into detail regarding all of that. But for now, what you have to understand is, United Nations Development Program, this Human Development Index is calculated. There is a particular methodology of calculating it. There are few factors which are taken into consideration apart from income. So like health एंड एजुकेशन. अब हेल्थ और एजुकेशन में बहुत अलग अलग फैक्टर्स हैं जो कंबाइन किए जाते हैं इसको कैलकुलेट करने के लिए. सो यू हैव ऑल्सो चेक्ड इनकम, you've also checked health, you've also checked education attainment. ये सारे criterias you have picked up, you've tried to combine and create a single index, and based on that index you have tried to categorize countries based on very high level of development and low level of development. This is the United Nations criteria of classifying countries based on the level of development. So that is using the criteria of Human Development Index. Is the broad logic clear behind this?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So that is fine. So I will just show you the website for this, and we will also see, which are the major countries which are performing really well. So more or less what happens is, usually, we saw the low income countries based on the World Bank criteria, and then we had high income countries. So more or less, जो HDI से low developed countries आ रही हैं, they are kind of, similar to the low income countries. And जो high developed countries आ रही हैं based on, high value of human development index, they are also kind of merging with the high income countries. So high income countries में जो भी mostly हमारी OECD countries हैं, they are a part of, so they are highly developed. What is OECD? OECD का full form क्या होता है?
Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development.
Perfect. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So, जो major highly developed countries हैं, they are a part of OECD. So, which countries, cut the list for being a part of this? So,
Low development.
yeah. So mostly, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Low development country will be not a part of OECD.
So low developed are not. So all the highly developed countries, so mostly, North American, so West Europe में majorly जितने countries हैं, North American countries जो हैं, ठीक है, उसके अलावा ऑस्ट्रेलिया,
Yes, ma'am. New Zealand.
New Zealand is also there. उसके अलावा we have Japan also.
Yes, ma'am.
And South
Taiwan also. South Korea.
So these organizations, so these are all highly developed, high income countries. And if you try to see the low developed countries, mostly they are lying in the sub-Saharan region. Okay? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But kindly note one thing in this entire discussion. So whatever is our criteria, it could be the World Bank criteria, it could be the United Nations Development Program, HDI criteria. One thing that we are talking about is we are talking at country level, right? हम एक country level पे बात करेंगे. Okay, you are high income, you are low income, you are high income. We are talking at a country level. तो हमने overall एक पूरी economy को एक item मान लिया है. Yes? और उसका एवरेज नंबर्स को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं. यस. अब हो सकता है कि इफ वी ट्राई टू सी इन वी ट्राई टू जूम इन वॉट एवर इज द सिचुएशन इन दिस कंट्री. अब ये कंट्री है, मान लो जो भी XYZ, यूएस मान लो, दिस इज द कंट्री यूएस. ऑन एन एवरेज वी सॉ इट्स ग्रॉस नेशनल इनकम पर कैपिटा. So based on that number, we classified it as a high income country or a highly developed country. अब जब हमने इसी कंट्री के अंदर इन डेप्थ एनालिसिस किया, तो हो सकता है कि यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग जो है काफी डेवलपमेंट को लेके स्ट्रगल कर रहे हो, और बहुत ही टाइनी पोर्शन जो है इनका वो हाईली डेवलप्ड हो, या बहुत ज्यादा इनकम अर्न करने वाले लोग हो. राइट? या फिर ऐसा हो सकता है कि विद इन दिस कंट्री मोर और लेस एवरीबडी इज सिमिलर. सो इफ दिस कंट्री इज वेरी वेरी इक्वल, इतनी ज्यादा इनइक्वालिटी नहीं है, तो क्या होगा, मोर और लेस सबके सिचुएशन similar होंगी. So within each country you can have a different story altogether between कि भाई इस country के अंदर अंदर क्या चल रहा है. So अभी तक whatever comparisons that we have made, what kind of comparisons are those? Only at the broad level, only at the country level, right? There's a lot of income inequality that exists. Yes. So there is significant income inequality within a country. और डाइवर्सिटी की बात अगर हो और इंडिया का नाम ना लिया जाए, सो दैट इज नॉट अ फेयर डिस्कशन. विद इन इंडिया we have so many states which are so diverse, and within each state you see a lot of diversity, not in terms of any culture or anything, in terms of income only you can see, right? First of all, there will be some states which are quite rich. Okay. Within those rich states, also there are some sections which are quite rich, and then there are some sections which are not very rich. Within poor states, also you will see, maybe some people will have too much wealth, some people, majority of the people will be below a certain income level. So there is a lot of, income inequality that you will face within a country. And in India we can say within a state, within a region, all of these things will exist. Yes, but उसके बारे में हम लोग later on बात करेंगे. Fine. So don't let these numbers make you understand or make you feel like, okay, US में तो everything is hunky dory and everything is fine. There are poor people there as well, there are homeless people there as well. And that doesn't and that also should not make you feel like if there is some country which is a low income country in terms of GDP per capita, so that doesn't mean everything is bad in that country. There are some very really nice things going on, but because things are getting averaged, it might look like a bad situation in terms of average. Yes. ठीक है.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what we will do is I will just try to show you the website for the
And
UN ones. Yes, you have a doubt?
in OECD, ma'am, India is not a member, ma'am.
India is not a member. No,
Okay.
India is not an OECD member. OECD जो है, so if we try to see, I'll share my screen. Okay. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So India, they are showing it's a key partner, but key partner doesn't mean a member. Let's just check a list of members. India should not be a part of it.
Ma'am, India is there.
India is there. But last time I checked, it was not. Ek second.
Ma'am, in country and region.
But this is all countries and regions. But they are talking about all countries, right? Afghanistan, kaise? It's not about member countries. This is general.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, this is not member countries. OECD members. Member countries. So, members and partners. So, member countries कौन से हैं? If we try to see that, Australia, Greece, New Zealand, Austria, Hungary, Norway, Belgium, Iceland. So all the Western European countries, Canada, Ireland, Portugal, Chile, Israel, Slovak, Colombia, Italy, Slovenia, Costa Rica, Japan, Korea. India is not there. So all the North American countries and the Western European countries, jo pura European Union kind of can consider that. And then New Zealand, Australia, and Japan is there. South Korea should be there. Korea is there, yes, right? India is not a part of it.
Okay, ma'am.
So then there are discussions regarding, okay, and then key partners. So these are key partners. So key partners are working closely. Okay. OECD key partners. They participate in OECD's daily work, bringing useful perspective. Okay, fine. Fine, but they're not the members. Okay. So
Ma'am,
China, Brazil.
China is even a developed nation, even though it is not a member of OECD.
Yeah, but I mean the time when it was created, right?
Yes, ma'am.
China was still on its growth trajectory, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then people have apprehensions, different sorts of apprehensions regarding China entering at multiple stages.
Yes, ma'am.
बहुत अलग अलग जगह पे है. So potentially we don't know too much about that in detail, but yes, definitely. But India, China, not a member country. Fine. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you the HDI data. So this is the Human Development Program, United Nations Development Program website. So there they have HDI, and low HDI is anything which is less than 0.550. Medium is anything between these numbers. High is anything between these, and very high is greater than 0.8. First of all, that. So before getting into that, let me just show you these things. So I was telling you HDI, you have a health indicator, you have a GDP or income indicator, or something which tells you about your standard of life. So that was there. And then schooling or education. So these three dimensions are there: long and happy, long and healthy life. Happy is something else. Knowledge and a decent standard of living. So इन चीजों के लिए, हर चीज के लिए इन्होंने they have picked up an indicator. So for health, they have picked up an indicator which is life expectancy at birth. So if in any country life expectancy at birth is high, so that will show that okay, the health situation in the country is good. Knowledge meaning education. So there are two things: expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling. So how, on an average, how many years of schooling are people doing in that particular country? So using that, they're creating an education index. Using this, they're creating a life expectancy index. And then to understand the standard of living of people, GNI per capita, gross national income per capita, on the PPP dollar terms. So by now you must be aware of the PPP criteria. So PPP is purchasing power parity. So this is done so that you can measure different countries on a similar level by taking into consideration that few countries are expensive, few countries are cheaper, right? So सबको एक level playground पे लाने के लिए we are using this measure. So based on that we've created a gross national income index. और ये तीनों इंडेक्स को एक पर्टिकुलर फॉर्मेट में आप कंबाइन करके ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स क्रिएट करते हो. इज दैट ओके? राइट.
Yes.
We will be getting into the technicalities part as well. We definitely have a technical report in our course जो हमें पढ़नी है, तो वो हम लोग उसमें भी करेंगे अच्छे से. ठीक है. सो उसको, उसके बेसिस पे क्या होता है कि एक नंबर आता है विच इज फ्रॉम 0 to 1, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू कैटेगराइज कंट्री एज लो डेवलपमेंट, मीडियम, हाई, वेरी हाई डेवलपमेंट. ठीक है. तो अगर आप ऑल रीजन्स देखो तो यहाँ पे जो है इन्होंने ये रेड क्राइटेरिया बनाया है, फिर येलो, ग्रीन. सो दिस इज जस्ट अ स्केल टू शो यू ओके द लेवल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. So if you try to pick countries which are highly developed, so anything which is beyond 0.8, that is highly developed. So what kind of countries do we see here? US is there here, yahan pe. Are you able to see this box?
Yes.
Yeah. So this particular data, this is spanning from 1990s to 2022. So basically overall किस तरीके से डेटा है. तो पहली बात तो अगर मान लो कि इसमें से कोई भी एक कंट्री पिक करते हैं हम लोग. So let's say this is Norway. Norway is on a growing trajectory only.
Yes.
कहीं पे भी there has been no fall in any number, so it's growing. So first of all, growing pattern मतलब situation is improving only, first of all that. Secondly, if you see these numbers, see Norway's numbers. So you know at 19 yeah 1990s के time पे it was something which is 0.84, and then right now it is something which is 0.967. So this is like a something which is very, very close to 1, right? So this is a best case scenario. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you see these numbers, let's say 2029 HDI value, life expectancy at birth was 83 years. So what does that mean? Any child who is born, you are expecting that child to be have an average lifespan of how many years? 80.
83.
As you grow older, maybe you have some disease, these things keep changing, but at birth this is the number. What is the expected year of schooling? Expected is average year of schooling. How much is that? 18 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So 18 years में अगर एक बिल्कुल बेसिक लेवल से सोचा जाए तो 18 साल में कोई इंसान क्या क्या कर लेता है. मान लो अगर उनका तो सिस्टम ही अलग होगा शायद. इंडिया के पर्सपेक्टिव से अगर बात करें तो 12 क्लासेस तो उसने 12वीं क्लास तो कर ली होगी, 1-2 साल आप पहले के क्लासेस ऐड कर लो.
Yes.
और 16 ईयर ऑफ एजुकेशन में ग्रेजुएशन भी पूरी हो जाती है.
No, ma'am.
नहीं होती. नहीं नहीं, 16 ईयर ऑफ एजुकेशन पीरियड, नॉट व्हेन
Oh,
यू.
yes, ma'am. I thought you said age.
No, no, not age. So they are telling you the years of schooling.
Yes.
कितने साल आप स्कूल में रहे हो या पढ़ाई की आपने. सो इफ समवन यूजुअली spend 16 years of their time on schooling, they are, we can say that they are graduate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So on an average, people are expecting in Norway to be graduate plus इसमें 2 साल और ही है तो post graduate also.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what the expected value is. And the mean years of schooling, what actually happens is 13 years. So 13 years is something more or less people, at least everybody finishes school and then more or less they join college. This is something that is being explained here.
Yes.
And their GNP per capita is close to $67,000 per capita.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So all these blue nations, US हो गया, US में क्या है देखो 75 years, और ये तो इस वक्त की बात है. और अभी की अगर बात करी जाए यूएस की अगर हम लोग बात करें तो 75, 15, 13, 40,000, and then there are multiple others. So अगर मैं ब्रॉडली देखूं तो यूएस हो गया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो गया, कनाडा, नॉर्वे, नीदरलैंड, जापान, आइसलैंड, डेनमार्क, ऑस्ट्रिया, बेल्जियम, स्वीडन, लग्जमबर्ग. तो कुछ कुछ कंट्रीज तो वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन कंट्रीज हो गई, नॉर्थ अमेरिकन कंट्रीज हो गई. ये ब्रैकेट के 7 से ऊपर ऊपर वाले जो नंबर्स वाले हैं वो ये वाले कंट्रीज हो गए. सऊदी अरेबिया ऑल्सो बीइंग वन, राइट. तो ये हाईली डेवलप्ड वाली कैटेगरीज में है. फिर उसके अलावा अगर हम अपना फोकस नीचे करें तो रेड मार्क्ड कौन कौन सी कंट्रीज हैं. ऐसी ऐसी कंट्रीज हैं जिनके आपने नाम भी नहीं सुने, मोस्टली सब सहारन कंट्रीज. फिर अफगानिस्तान इज ऑल्सो नॉट डूइंग वेल. एंड अफगानिस्तान का अगर आप ग्राफ देखो तो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, इट्स इवन फॉलिंग, राइट.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say post 2019 it is going down.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
है ना. तो दैट इज ऑल्सो हैपनिंग. एंड देन
It is a time when Taliban came into the government.
Yes. So, all kind of political uh, things, all the wars, everything that is definitely going to impact. तो जैसे अगर आप लो डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज की बात करो तो उसमें यमन, म्यांमार, ऑल दी सब सहारन अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, एंड देन स्लाइटली ऊपर अगर देखोगे तो बांग्लादेश है यहाँ पे, फिर उसके बाद कॉन्गो, सेनेगल, एंड देन you have Pakistan here. So in 1990s, what is the situation? Obviously, here the situation has gone up. It has been in a yellow marker, but it hasn't been able to change its situations too much, right? So if you see this, right now in 2021, what is the life expectancy? 66 years at birth. What is the expected years of schooling? 7.8. And mean year of education is 4.4 years. So what will 4.4 years practically mean? कि कोई इंसान ने कितनी पढ़ाई की होगी on an average?
Eighth.
Eighth?
No, oh, sorry. I was taking LKG, UKG also.
नहीं, आप एलकेजी यूकेजी भी कर लो ऐड, मत करो ऐड, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. ऑन एन एवरेज क्या हो रहा है? मीन ईयर ऑफ स्कूलिंग देखोगे 4.4, तो उसका क्या मतलब है? अगर एलकेजी यूकेजी
First and
नहीं
second.
कराएं,
Okay.
सीधा उसको फर्स्ट में डाल दें, तो भी वो 4 साल, 4.5 साल की एजुकेशन ले रहा है.
Yes, ma'am.
तो मतलब फिफ्थ क्लास मान सकते हैं,
Yes, ma'am.
वो भी मैक्सिमम है ना? तो
Yes, ma'am.
इसमें ऑब्वियसली ये एवरेज नंबर है, मीन ईयर ऑफ स्कूलिंग है, तो इसका मतलब है बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो इन्होंने कोई पढ़ाई नहीं करी, कुछ लोग हो गए जिन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ाई कर ली, तो उनका ऑन एन एवरेज सबको फिफ्थ क्लास तक की एजुकेशन इस तरीके से, दैट इज द नंबर. एंड GNI पर कैपिटा इज $5,000. सो यहाँ पे इस कैटेगरी में है, वी सॉ पाकिस्तान, एंड देन वी हैव इंडिया हियर. इंडिया जो है, व्हाट हैज बीन द सिचुएशन इन 1990s? अगर आप देखो HDI नंबर, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? 58 years of life expectancy at birth. Expected years of schooling is 8 years, and mean years of schooling is 2.8 years, which is very less, right?
Yeah.
Now if we see the behavior later on, so hopefully I should be able to pick. Yeah, so now what is happening? 2022. So from 1990s number, 58 years, we have kind of increased it by 10 years.
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? Expected years of schooling has been 12.6 years. Mean years of schooling has gone up to 6.6 years. So on an average, people are, kind of, we can say 8th class, 7th class, something like that on an average.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, अगर सबको educate किया जाए तो. And the GNI per capita is close to $7,000 per capita per annum, right? तो काफी ग्रोथ हुई है यहाँ पे. देखो अगर आप जिन्होंने यहाँ से स्टार्ट किया था, अगर हमने इंडिया की बात करें तो वी स्टार्टेड ऑफ इन द येलो रीजन, राइट? सो फ्रॉम 0.44 वी हैव कम टू 0.644. तो हमारी ग्रोथ काफी स्टीप रही है, यस, एज कंपेयर टू सम अदर कंट्रीज.
Ma'am,
या
comparing India with some small nation will not be a good situation.
यस, तो हम इसको चाइना से कंपेयर करते हैं फिर, ठीक है?
हाँ, मैं बट वो तो होता ही नहीं है मैम. मोस्टली न्यूज वगैरह में तो वो पाकिस्तानी को पकड़ लेते हैं.
हाँ, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली, क्योंकि वो रीजन यही होता है कि आपकी इंडिपेंडेंस एक ही टाइम पे हुई है, आपका जो हिस्ट्री था वो बिल्कुल कॉमन था, तो आपका बिगिनिंग पॉइंट बिल्कुल सिमिलर माना जा सकता है, जो कि सच्चाई भी है, राइट?
यस मैम, बट मैम पॉपुलेशन वाइज एंड एरिया वाइज भी देखा जाए तो
यस,
पाकिस्तान बहुत ही छोटा है इंडिया से।
बिल्कुल छोटा है। तो लेकिन ये तो लोगों के लिए बेनिफिट की बात होनी चाहिए ना,
हाँ जी मैम,
कि
उनके लिए होनी चाहिए वो।
उनके लिए यस,
जी।
कि यू हैव अ स्मॉलर पॉपुलेशन टू हैंडल।
यस मैम।
So despite that, if you are having trouble, so that means there is something going on, maybe they are not doing it correctly, right?
यस।
So that is, तो मतलब वो तो चीज उनके एडवांटेज में है।
जी मैम।
And despite that, if things are not improving, so then it's a problem.
मैम वन मोर क्वेश्चन मैम।
Yes.
मैम जो रिसेंटली गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज है, इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स एंड 4 year इज अ मिनिमम एज टू सेंड अ स्टूडेंट टू अ क्लास schools,
हाँ,
that this policy will increase expected year of schooling.
एक्सपेक्टेड इयर्स ऑफ स्कूलिंग में ना, हम जब इसको HDI को डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे, तो ये किस तरीके से इसको कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं, हम उस पर थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाएंगे
Okay मैम।
कि what are they actually meaning when they say expected years of schooling.
यस मैम।
So, does it mean कि looking right now, what are people expecting कि वो on an average कितनी पढ़ाई करेंगे, and mean years of schooling is what actually happens. So looking back, what really happened, right? एक forward looking चीज है, एक
यस
backward
मैम।
looking चीज है ना?
ओके मैम।
तो इनका कैलकुलेशन का क्राइटेरिया क्या है, उस बेसिस पे हम लोग उस टाइम पे आई डेफिनेटली टेक दिस पॉइंट।
ओके।
ठीक है। अच्छा, थोड़े से और एग्जांपल्स देखो तो, ये कौन सी कंट्री है? कैन यू सी देयर आर सडन डिप्स आल्सो?
यस मैम।
सो दैट मस्ट बी सम और द अदर इवेंट गोइंग ऑन इन दैट पर्टिकुलर कंट्री। एंड देन वी सी China in 1991, 68 years of life expectancy, which we have right now, right?
यस मैम।
And their years of schooling expected is 8.6 and mean years is 4.3. But now, if you compare, it is doing pretty well, at least from the data which is being reported. So, if you see this, it must be somewhere here. Yeah, this is China, right? So right now, the life expectancy is even 10 years higher. In India, right now, we are at 68 years. तो एक तरीके से बोलते हैं ना कि हम लोग जो 1990s पे चाइना जिस लेवल पे था years of expectancy पे, right now we are at that particular level. Yes.
यस मैम।
So एक तरीके से how many years back? Slightly, some years back, things are going on in these manners if we try to see. And then expected years of schooling is 15 years and mean years of schooling is 8 years. So people are definitely kind of, we can say कि ठीक है, 8 year तो लिखा ही हुआ है, plus something or the other will be there. So education levels are also higher. And what is GNI per capita? $18,000 PPP. ठीक है. So these were some of the data points. So if you want to analyze things बिल्कुल अलग से, साउथ एशिया का अगर आप देखना चाहो, तो आप अलग से ट्रैजेक्टरीज देख सकते हो कि अफगानिस्तान में हमारे अगर सिचुएशन जो है वो डिप भी हुई है, देन पाकिस्तान इज देयर, नेपाल इज देयर, बांग्लादेश इज देयर, इंडिया इज देयर। राइट नाउ जब वो जो न्यूज में आता है कि बांग्लादेश ने इंडिया को सरपास कर लिया है वो HDI नंबर्स में, you can see this here, right? India is somewhere here And on top of it, we see Bangladesh. Yes, this intersect.
Yes, ma'am.
So, sir, these kind of news also you see. Uske baad this particular country, where is it? ये जो यहाँ से ही start हुई है. Why is it starting from here? 2010.
Maybe because they mostly isolated nation.
Isolated nation. Okay, so 2010 के बाद क्या हुआ भूटान में?
वहां पे मतलब किंगशिप खत्म हो गई होगी, या जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का रूलिंग स्टार्ट हो गया होगा।
So democracy,
यस।
can we say that?
यस मैम।
So when did Bhutan get Bhutan? So Bhutan has a population of 7 lakh people. And their first democratic elections happened in 2007. And all different sorts of governments which have been democratically elected, all of that has happened in 2011. So basically, उसके बाद ही data जो है हमारे पास available हुआ, right? So their life expectancy is 68 years in 2010 and all these numbers. और यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो तो 72, 13. It's a very, very small country. And Bhutan को और भी एक चीज के लिए famous है Bhutan. What is that?
हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स।
Happiness index में they are considered quite happy. So we will see what does happiness index measure someday. सो इस तरीके के ग्राफ्स जो हैं आपको काफी सारी चीजें बता सकते हैं रिगार्डिंग मेजर हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट्स एज वेल. व्हाट हैज बीन द पैटर्न ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन ए पर्टिकुलर ईयर, डिड समथिंग हैपन, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो वर्ल्ड एवरेज जो है, वर्ल्ड एवरेज इज दिस ब्लैक लाइन एंड वी आर स्टिल बिलो द वर्ल्ड एवरेज HDI. वर्ल्ड एवरेज ये है, this number, this is the world average, and we are still below this. All right.
मैम इवन श्रीलंका इज अबव द वर्ल्ड एवरेज।
So Sri Lanka is, yes, Sri Lanka is above the world average since the very beginning. That's also a very, very small country.
But recent crisis will cause the decline trend of Sri Lanka.
More or less, it has become stagnant with some dips here and there. 2004 में there's a dip. 2009 में there's a dip.
Yes, ma'am.
And उसके बाद more or less it has been similar. और यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा dip ही हुआ है. 2020 से नीचे आया है. So whenever things are not going well in any country, politically or in any other channel, these things show up here. Right? So this way you can analyze other countries if you want for, your own analysis. So here you see
Yes, ma'am.
majority of the countries in this category. All right? Is that okay? Chalo, let's move on. I'll stop sharing this. So guys, now that we've kind of have a brief idea regarding how these different countries are categorized, who is standing where, now we want to get a little deeper regarding what this discipline is going to do. And actually development economics जो है, you know, what kind of things you really do here. So पहली बात अगर मैं बात करूं development economics, so we are trying to understand the scope of this subject in general. So development economics and development studies. So first of all, if I would like to define कि हम लोग development economics में करते क्या है, actually what is the main goal? So it is driven by, there is one core objective. One core objective is, firstly, let me define what is development economics. So development economics को अगर define करना हो, so this is basically the study of how economies are transformed from stagnation to growth and from low income to high income status. And how to overcome the problems of extreme poverty, right? This is the main idea behind development economics. So you want to understand if there's an economy which is stagnated, which is not growing, so how to transform that to growth, how to move from a low income country to a high income country, or for any region to become move from low income to high income, or any individual to move from low income to high income, and how to eradicate the problem of extreme poverty. So these are the main things that we are studying in development economics, right? एंड आप कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट करो, कोई भी चीजें समझो, मेन एक ऑब्जेक्टिव जो हमेशा आप ध्यान में रखते हो वो क्या है? द पर्पस. व्हाट इज द पर्पस? द पर्पस इज द फॉलोइंग. पर्पस. So the purpose is
Purpose of development economics or development study?
development studies, development economics. There are more or less synonymous.
Okay.
So what is the purpose here? The purpose is to understand how can you improve the life of people? How can you improve the life of the global population? How can you improve the life of any particular country's population? How can you improve the life of any particular individual region? That is the goal. So to understand how to improve the lives of the global population. अब इसमें अलग अलग रीजन्स आ सकते हैं, ठीक है? तो अब एक बात बताओ, क्या ये बहुत बड़ा पर्पस है? डेफिनेटली बहुत बड़ा पर्पस है ना, कि लोगों की जिंदगी आप कैसे इंप्रूव करोगे.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to improve the life of people. You want to be from a stagnant economy to a growth economy. You want to move from a low income country to a high income country. So you want people to come out of some sort of trap ना. कोई पॉवर्टी ट्रैप है किसी एक रीजन में, किसी एक फैमिली में, किसी एक कंट्री में. You want that country to move out of that trap and come to a category where people have better opportunities, better standard of living, better health situation, better education opportunities. Yes.
Yes, sir.
सो अब जब पर्पस इतना बड़ा है, तो फिर इस सब्जेक्ट में जो पढ़ाई होती है, या इसमें इस तरीके के कामों में, अगर इफ यू हैव टू इम्प्लीमेंट दीज काइंड ऑफ वर्क्स, then first of all you will require collaboration from multiple stakeholders. That is one thing. Second thing, this subject in itself is going to be very multidisciplinary, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. तो ये सब्जेक्ट जो है बहुत मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी होगा. And it requires collaboration from multiple stakeholders. Yes. Right. तो क्योंकि जैसे अब किसी की जिंदगी इंप्रूव करना is also equivalent to ये you saying that, मान लो दिल्ली है ये, let's say this is Delhi. ठीक है, दिल्ली में बहुत अलग अलग रीजन होंगे, कोई नॉर्थ दिल्ली होगा, कोई साउथ दिल्ली होगा, कोई ईस्ट दिल्ली, कोई वेस्ट दिल्ली, कोई सेंट्रल दिल्ली. ऐसे ही विद इन ईच रीजन देयर विल बी सब पार्ट्स. तो मान लो आप सोचते हो कि एक पर्टिकुलर रीजन है जो थोड़ा सा डेवलप नहीं है, तो पहले आप इस रीजन को स्टडी करोगे. इस रीजन को स्टडी करने का क्या मतलब है? यू विल अंडरस्टैंड द कल्चरल बैकग्राउंड्स ऑफ पीपल. Yes.
Yes,
You will also try to understand what is their religious background, because, believe it or not, these things matter. Yes, that is how people are making decisions. लोगों के कल्चरल बिलीव्स क्या हैं, बैकग्राउंड की बजाय बिलीव्स यू कैन से. How are they culturally? How are they really? What are their religious beliefs? Right? uh, how how does their society operate? मतलब, is that society female dominated, is that society male dominated, वहां पे किस तरीके से काम होता है, do people have a tendency to work in a community, or people are very individualistic, these kind of, in what manner does that particular social group operates. Yes. So you have to understand the social aspect of that particular place as well. You also have to understand the economic aspect. Yes.
yes, ma'am.
So how are people, currently earning? What is their major source of earning? What kind of skills do those people have? Right. So if, let's say, you are a development economist and your goal is to maybe, try to recommend few things to the government which you can implement in this particular area. So can you just stick to economic theories and say, okay, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. Can you ignore all these aspects?
No, ma'am.
If you implement some sort of policy which is not in line with their religious belief, or that is considered culturally not a good thing, will they be accepting that policy? No. So, in order for you to implement anything, any program, you have to understand how people are behaving culturally, what are their religious belief, what kind of group are we dealing with, is that a mixed group, or what kind of skills do people have economically, how are they doing, what is the situation, which kind of traps are they currently involved in, traps as in how are they trapped in a poverty situation. Are people trying to move out of that trap? Why are they unsuccessful? आपको एक फुल स्टडी करनी पड़ेगी ना चीजों की, ये सब अगर आपको समझना है तो. Yes. So that is why this subject is very multidisciplinary. First of all, क्योंकि you might be wondering कि okay, we are talking about geography some days, we are talking about history some days, we started talking about past data, all of these things are happening. This will keep happening because the goal and the purpose is so big. You can't just rely on one single aspect in order to understand and tackle the situation. So आपको जो है बहुत अलग अलग फील्ड्स के जो हैं कॉन्सेप्ट्स भी यूज करने पड़ेंगे. देर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इकोनॉमिक थियोरी ऑल्सो, but mostly it's an empirical subject. You are seeing things happening around you, and based on that you are looking at the historical perspective. You are trying to see how very poor countries which are currently now developed, how have they transitioned from being a low income country to a very high income country. So all these things will always be there. So, labor economics, public economics, urban economics, agricultural economics, environmental economics, international economics, ये सब mixed up concepts जो हैं आपको कहीं पे भी देखने को मिल सकते हैं in the development economics area. ठीक है. उसके अलावा आप कोई भी प्रोग्राम स्टडी करो, कुछ भी करो, आपको वहां के कल्चरल, सोशल, एंड एक और चीज हमने मिस कर दी, वो है पॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो कैसा है वहां पे. Political aspects also matter, right? When a country is not very developed, then society and politics, that is going to impact a lot of decisions in the life of people around you. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So आपको ऐसा भी करना है कि so the experiences are very unique. You might be implementing some policies which are working in a certain area, but they may lead to clash between groups in some other area. So you have to see लोगों की ethnicity कैसी है, वहां पे political system किस तरीके से है. If you are in an underdeveloped economy, political system is also not very good. Economic wise also, there are institutions to keep a check on these things, but they are also weaker. So we have to operate in that sense as well, right? So because of these, there are a lot of NGOs, there are a lot of non-profit organizations, there are a lot of trusts which are working in this field. So slowly their role also gets involved. So इसमें इस तरीके की field में government is involved, public policy activists are also involved, common people are also involved. So lot of stakeholders, politicians are also involved. All these things are involved, directly or indirectly in affecting or implementing something, right? So that is why whenever any project is implemented in this field, or any policy recommendations are to be made, you have to not just recommend theories, but you have to do a background research on what kind of area is there, किस तरीके का है, past experience कैसे रहे हैं, किस किस तरीके की potential चीजें past में similar areas में try की जा चुकी हैं जो successful हैं, जो और countries थी which are not, which may be very low, at the low level of development, but they have transitioned, उनके experiences क्या रहे हैं, तो वहां से हम लोग क्या सीख सकते हैं. So all these kind of discussions will be there, right? So political economy भी काफी यूज होती है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस के कॉन्सेप्ट्स भी आपको रेलेवेंट होंगे, हिस्ट्री भी आप काफी देखोगे किसी भी जगह की, या इन जनरल historically how things have moved, in order to understand any project or any helping or giving suggestions to policy makers in these aspects, right?
Yes, sir.
वाइड स्कोप है. तो ये तो हो गया कि ठीक है किस किस तरीके से चीजें होती हैं इन दिस स्पेस. अब उसके अलावा ज्योग्राफिकली इस चीज का क्या स्कोप है, ज्योग्राफिकली डेवलपमेंट इकोनॉमिक्स का क्या स्कोप है. व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय दैट? वी मीन दैट what are some areas where geographically, what are those areas where you can work on these kind of projects. So any country which is least developed, or maybe at a low level of development, would require these kind of assistance, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So some of the South Asian countries, most of the sub-Saharan African countries, and even in highly developed countries, there could be some sections of people who require assistance. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So all these kind of countries or areas will be the geographical scope of development economics. So you will be learning from experiences of countries who have done well. You will also be learning from experience of the countries which have not done well, because that will tell you what not to do, right? So that is also important, to know what not to do. So geographically, you will try to see, what or how things can be done in these specific areas. Apart from that, there is another. So first of all, one point that we said was it's a very wide scope of this field. It is multidisciplinary.
Then these are the purpose of the additional points.
Uh, no, purpose is that only.
Only one point then.
पर्पस यही है. क्या ही पर्पस है? लोगों की लाइफ में इंप्रूवमेंट लाना इज द ब्रॉड पर्पस.
And these points are very.
These points we are making regarding the field, कि ये फील्ड की क्या क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं. So this field is quite wide. It is multidisciplinary. It requires multiple stakeholders to work in collaboration, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's empirical work mostly. All these kind of things are there. Secondly, thirdly, fourthly, it is a dynamic subject. It's a dynamic field. There are some fields which are kind of static, जिनमें ज्यादा चीजें बदल नहीं रही होती हैं. But यहाँ पे things that we are talking about are about people. So people change, economies are changing, technology is coming, things are coming very, very rapidly. Internet is coming, now AI is coming, people will be losing jobs. So we will have to think about that also, right? Poor people usually are not able to get very high skilled education, right? So they will mostly be doing very repetitive work.
Yes, sir.
So now this kind of repetitive work is going to be replaced by AI. You can see the impacts on Chat GPT, how well it is performing. More or
Yes.
less everybody in some manner or the other is using Chat GPT. That is enough evidence कि हाँ बहुत सारी चीजें जो प्रोफेशनल मैनर में पहले required manual interference, now it will not require that. So who will be the people who will be impacted the most? जिनको उतनी एजुकेशन नहीं मिली है उस लेवल, राइट?
Informal employee.
इनफॉर्मल, या मान लो जो पुअर पीपल की हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो पहली बात तो वो एजुकेशन ही नहीं ले रहे थे. और एजुकेशन अगर ले रहे हैं, फॉर्मल एजुकेशन अगर वो ले रहे हैं, तो उसमें वो बिल्कुल बेसिक टास्क ही तो करते थे ना.
Yes, sir.
और वो बेसिक टास्क अब आपसे चीपर रेट पर चैट जीपीटी या एआई कर रहा है. So that is also one way in which they can again fall back to the poverty trap.
Yes, sir.
Right? So all these kind of things are also there because 10 साल पहले आप ये बातें कर ही नहीं सकते थे. But we don't know what happens in next 2 years. I don't know what they will do. I mean, what this is capable of. This field is changing so dynamically. New data is coming, technology is changing. So, all these things kind of make it more and more dynamic that people, new data is coming. First of all, people are having different sorts of experiences about these things. So this is not a field which is very static or limited ही theories हैं. So you will always have to keep innovating. You will always have to keep learning in this field, right? So these are some of the main characteristics of this field. Development.
Microeconomics will be considered as a static field if we see.
देखो कोई फील्ड स्टैटिक है या नहीं वो इस चीज पर डिपेंड करता है कि उसमें कितनी वेरिएशन आ रही है. सो मान लो पिछले 10 साल में अगर बहुत ज्यादा कुछ नया थियरी नहीं बन रहा है, ठीक है, तो हम उसको ये बोलेंगे कि इट हैज बिकम स्टैटिक.
Yes.
बट अगर वो थियरीज बहुत रैपिड रेट से नई नई थियोरीज लोग डेवलप कर रहे हैं, देन इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड डायनामिक.
Yes, ma'am. Because ma'am, in microeconomics we still read a variant, which is an old book.
Yeah, so that is not about the field, that is about your curriculum.
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, वो फील्ड की गलती नहीं है, वो करिकुलम की सिचुएशन है, राइट? तो जैसे अभी आप ये देखो ना कि हम लोग 2008 की चीजें पढ़ रहे हैं.
Yes, ma'am.
सो 2008 से अभी कितना, 10 years एंड
17.
16-17 years हो गए हैं, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
तो 16-17 years में तो you know, we saw a table which said how much time it takes for the economy to double the income. उसमें से कुछ कुछ numbers 13-14 years थे.
Yes, ma'am.
तो हम तो उसको आधा मान के बैठे होंगे अभी तक, है ना?
जी.
तो these things are also there. Okay. And apart from that, you know, guys, in all of this study, there has been a central कि ठीक है, आप कोई भी डेवलपमेंट पॉलिसी की बात करो, किसी भी चीज की बात करो, there has been a central role of women. Why? First of all, कि even within poor people, if you talk about poor, within that poor, if you look at gender, na, poor male and poor female, they are more affected, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because of health reasons. In India, especially, you know, because of society, the way society sees everything. In other countries as well. I won't say only India is there. So women tend to be poorer than men, even within the poor category, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So they will be deprived. If two people are deprived, the level of deprivation for females will be higher. Health wise, education wise, freedom wise, everything. So if you want the situation to improve, if you have to implement any policy, तो आपको इस सेक्शन पे ज्यादा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा. या फिर इवन इफ यू डोंट वांट टू पुट एक्स्ट्रा, you know, focus here, there is another good enough reason for you to focus on this section. Why? Because here we are talking about reducing poverty, right? So, you know, what do you see? Most of the child rearing activity is done by females. Yes, right?
Yes.
And most of the times research has shown that if the female are empowered, if they are getting some amount of money, the share of that money that they spend on their child is higher than if same amount of money is given to the males. So that means this lady will be spending more amount of money on improving the health of the child. सबसे पहले अगर आप अपने शेयर में से आपका majority expense is in child rearing, then what will you do? It will improve the health of the child. There'll be less hospital visits.
Yes, ma'am.
That child will be having nutritious food. If she is educated, she will, obviously, she spends majority of time with the child, or at least the child likes to spend most of the time with the females in majority cases.
Yes, ma'am.
So they will be spending more time with the female. So if female is getting educational opportunities, the same opportunities or same, at least, you know, same things she will try to inculcate in the child as well.
Yeah, ma'am.
Right? And if she is educated, you know, एक बात बोलते हैं ना कि अगर आप किसी फीमेल को पढ़ाते हो तो आप किसी एक इंसान को नहीं पढ़ा रहे हो, आप एक पूरी फैमिली को पढ़ा रहे हो, एंड दैट मेक्स सेंस बिकॉज वही in majority cases she is making the food related decision. She's handling the child, she's handling the health of the child, she is handling the vaccination, she's also teaching the child. तो ये सारी चीजें अगर किसी एक एम्पावर्ड इंसान के हाथ में दी जाएं तो उसके जो रिजल्टेंट नई जनरेशन है वो भी ज्यादा एम्पावर्ड होगी, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is precisely the reason that a society should empower and invest in women. So we are not saying don't invest in uh, males. We are not saying that, but we are saying ki this is a special group because if you consider poor, they are doubly affected. First, they are affected because of poverty. Second, they are affected because of gender. So maybe try to have some extra focus or some extra things about them whenever these kind of policies are being made. And because she's involved in handling the family affairs, at least in India, this is the case. So more focus should be given in empowering her so that the next generation, is more healthier and more learned, more educated. So these are some of the things to be kept in mind, right? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, fine. So these were some of the things that we wanted to discuss regarding, what all do we discuss in this particular course. अब इसके बाद नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम लोगों को जो डिस्कशन करना होगा दैट विल बी द मीनिंग ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. And we already have understood the meaning of development, but we will try to understand this aspect of capability, which was given by Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen. So his capability approach. So what is the meaning of development in this sense? So, in 1998, Nobel Prize in economics was given to Amartya Sen. And he gave this idea that poverty is not just absence of consumption, या फिर आप किसी को products दे दो या उसके consumption को बढ़ा दो. That doesn't mean you have removed poverty. So just giving you an example or maybe a trailer of this. So let's say, for example, if somebody thinks कि मैं अगर किसी इंसान को किताबें दे दूंगा तो उसको एजुकेशन आ जाएगी, एक अप्रोच ये हो सकती है, राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
है ना? तो if let's say a person has access to education, sorry, a person has access to books. ये एक इंसान है जिसके पास बुक्स हैं, ये एक इंसान है इसके पास बुक्स हैं. तो क्या ये दोनों इंसान एजुकेशन ले सकते हैं? बताओ. इनको जो बुक्स चाहिए थी मैंने दे दी. Whatever books they needed, I gave it to them. So can
No,
they?
ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, unless and unless they have a मतलब उनके पास इतना वो विल पावर या कुछ मतलब उस नॉलेज को ग्रैब करने की कैपेसिटी हो.
ओके, ग्रैब करने की कैपेसिटी का क्या मतलब है? What do you?
जैसे हर कोई इकोनॉमिक्स नहीं पढ़ सकता.
चलो वो तो हम
या
बहुत ऊपर वाले लेवल पे चले गए, और बेसिक हमने बिल्कुल बेसिक बुक्स दी हैं उनको। तो
मैम,
आपको बुक पढ़ने के लिए क्या चाहिए?
मैम स्क्रीन स्टक हो गई है मैम।
ओके माय स्क्रीन, नो माय स्क्रीन इज नॉट स्टक।
ना ओके मैम, ना ओके।
ओके आई वाज जस्ट नॉट राइटिंग एनीथिंग, या सो आई एम सेइंग बुक्स, आपने दो लोगों को बुक्स दे दी और आपको क्या लग रहा है कि यू हैव रिमूव्ड पॉवर्टी इन टर्म्स ऑफ एजुकेशन, या जो भी इंसान को एजुकेट होने के लिए चाहिए आपने उसको दे दिया, या उसका आईआईटी में एडमिशन करा दिया इन लोगों का, सपोज, वेरी एक्सट्रीम एग्जाम्पल। बट कोई भी इंसान बुक पढ़ेगा उसके लिए क्या चाहिए सबसे पहले?
मेंटल कैपेबिलिटी।
मेंटल कैपेबिलिटी, वेरी नाइस, वो ठीक है। लेकिन एक बात बताओ कि मुझे अगर एबीसीडी नहीं आती तो ये जो लिखा हुआ है, ये क्या मैं पढ़ पाऊंगी?
नो मैम, पढ़ते आना चाहिए।
तो मैं अगर अनपढ़ हूं,
यस
इफ आई
मैम।
एम इलिटरेट, आर दीज बुक्स ऑफ एनी यूज टू मी?
नो मैम।
नहीं,
देन
है ना? या तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ कि
बेसिक नॉलेज रिक्वायर्ड।
बुक्स देना इज नॉट इनफ?
यस मैम।
बुक्स देना इज नॉट इक्विवेलेंट टू गिविंग एजुकेशन, राइट?
यस मैम।
Very nice. Similarly, let's say I'm giving very nutritious food to these two kids, okay?
यस
बिल्कुल
मैम।
चपाती है और एवरीथिंग वॉट एवर जो भी प्रोपोर्शन में चाहिए होगा वो सब है एकदम, बिल्कुल वर्ल्ड बैंक, वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो बोलता है जो थाली का प्रोपोर्शन होना चाहिए उसमें जो फूड होना चाहिए, आई हैव गिवन एवरीथिंग टू देम। इज दैट इनफ फॉर देम टू बी हेल्दी? वाई और वाई नॉट? मैंने दोनों को सेम थाली दी है।
नो मैम, because
Why?
they have some different weightage, so weight.
ओके,
So
चलो
maybe
वेट, चलो वेट के हिसाब से भी दे दिया कि दोनों वे सेम
then
वेट,
ma'am, then
सेम वेट है, सेम हाइट है, जो भी आपको डिफरेंसेस लगते हैं वो मैंने हटा दिए, सब
yes,
एकदम कार्बन कॉपी है।
yes ma'am. Then it will be happy.
देन इट विल बी द सेम।
Yes ma'am.
अच्छा ठीक है, तो अब मेरे को ये बताओ, टेल मी वन थिंग, इफ वन ऑफ दिस किड इज नॉट फ्रॉम अ वेरी गुड बैकग्राउंड एंड हिज हेल्थ इज नॉट गुड फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग, सपोज,
Yes ma'am.
तो मे बी उसको कोई प्रॉब्लम है कि वो न्यूट्रिशियस फूड एब्जॉर्ब नहीं कर पाता है, या उसको कोई और बीमारी है,
Yes ma'am.
तो
And he will unable to
तो मे बी
digest it.
तो मे बी वो डाइजेस्ट ना कर पाए।
Yes ma'am.
तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? मैंने सेम अमाउंट ऑफ फूड भी दिया,
Yes.
सेम कंजम्पशन भी दे रही हूं, फिर भी रिजल्ट्स डिफरेंट है ना?
Yes ma'am.
तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ कि इट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट द कंजम्पशन, इट इज ऑल्सो अबाउट द कैपेबिलिटी, capability to read books, capability to digest food.
Yeah ma'am.
So if you are not able to remove that, and if you just give people access to materials, material माने कि food ये वो जो भी चाहिए उनको,
Yes ma'am.
that is not enough.
Ma'am, then the midday meal scheme will also going to be changed if we see this approach.
नहीं देखो, मैं वो नहीं कह रही कि इसको चेंज कर दो, आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू अ पॉइंट। अगर आप वो भी बंद कर दोगे तो फिर तो और खराब सिचुएशन है ना इनके लिए,
Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
कि मतलब इफ समथिंग इज नॉट गेटिंग फुलफिल्ड 100%, डोंट डू इट एट ऑल, ये लॉजिक तो नहीं अब हम अप्लाई कर सकते,
Yes ma'am.
है ना, कि बस सब छोड़ दो अपने हाल पे। तो व्हाट डज दैट मीन? द कैपेबिलिटी आल्सो मैटर्स, द कैपेबिलिटी टू रीड, द कैपेबिलिटी टू डाइजेस्ट फूड, और यू नो मान लो इन्होंने कोई बहुत अच्छा हमने इनको कोर्स करा दिया कोई भी एक सब्जेक्ट पे, लेकिन एक इंसान बिकॉज ऑफ द काइंड ऑफ बैकग्राउंड दैट दे लिव्ड इन, दे हैव बीन वेरी शाय, they can't communicate anything, then
Then he will unable to.
use that opportunity,
Yes ma'am.
right?
Yes ma'am.
दोनों को सेम रिसोर्स दिया, लेकिन एक इंसान बिकॉज ऑफ देयर एक्सपीरियंसेस नहीं अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस कर पा रहा है, या उसमें वो नहीं कॉन्फिडेंस आ पा रहा है कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ या कर सकती हूँ, So that is a question of capability, na?
Yes.
So we will get deeper into this. So this kind of idea was, introduced by uh, Amrita Sen, and we will get into the depth of this. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
In the next class. So next class will be on Sunday, 2 p.m. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Let's stop here for today. Okay. Thank you, guys.